That overwhelming urge to reach for a second slice of cake, even when your stomach is full, is the result of a documented neurochemical dependency. It functions as a biological trap rather than a failure of personal willpower. For decades, we have normalized the mass consumption of sugar, integrating it into every social ritual and childhood memory. This cultural saturation has effectively blinded us to the profound impact sugar has on our internal systems. Modern clinical research now aligns intermittent excessive sugar intake with the exact behavioral markers of narcotics. These studies document clear patterns of binging, intense craving, and even opiate-like withdrawal symptoms when the substance is removed. Accepting sugar as an addictive substance is a prerequisite for recovery. Without this shift in perspective, the biological cycle driving our metabolic decline remains impossible to break. This addiction moves quickly from the brain's reward center to the pancreas. Relentless sugar consumption forces the body to overproduce insulin, a hormone responsible for regulating the amount of glucose in the blood. Eventually, the body's cells stop responding to this constant flood, a condition known as insulin resistance. This resistance acts as a primary gateway to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and systemic endocrine disorders. Attempting to treat the physical symptoms of insulin resistance is futile if the underlying neurochemical hijack remains in place. Our brains operate on an evolutionary reward system. When we eat standard, palatable food, the brain releases a controlled burst of dopamine, signaling pleasure and reinforcing calorie-seeking behavior. As we continue eating that food, the dopamine response naturally decreases. This waning mechanism prompts us to stop because the pleasure signal has dimmed. Intermittent, high-volume sugar intake ignores this evolutionary stop sign. Sugar forces the brain to release high levels of dopamine every single time it is consumed. By failing to fade with repeated exposure, sugar mimics the chemical signature of an abused drug. This powerful neurochemical bypass allows sugar to actively hijack the reward center, keeping the craving loop open indefinitely. Constant dopamine flooding eventually alters the brain's D1 and D2 receptors. As these receptors downregulate, you require increasingly higher doses of sugar just to feel a baseline sense of normalcy. The process also involves acetylcholine, or ACH. In the context of feeding, acetylcholine acts as the brain's internal brake, signaling satiety, the physical feeling of being full. Research indicates that sugar binges actively delay the release of acetylcholine. By suppressing this satiety signal, sugar essentially mutes your body's fullness alarm, allowing consumption to continue. This chart shows the neurochemical state that occurs during sugar abstinence. Dopamine levels crash while acetylcholine aggressively spikes, creating a state characterized by profound anxiety and behavioral depression. This dual mechanism, an artificial reward followed by a silenced fullness signal, forces a cycle of binging that rapidly accelerates the development of insulin resistance. Breaking this loop requires us to use specific dietary interventions as biological circuit breakers, effectively repairing the metabolism from the inside out. The primary antidote is replacing simple sugars with complex, low glycemic index carbohydrates that are rich in dietary fiber. The glycemic index is a system that ranks foods based on how quickly they cause blood sugar to rise. Fibrous, raw vegetables digest slowly, preventing the spikes that trigger addiction. Timing also plays a role. Starting the day with a high-energy, low-glycemic breakfast provides stable fuel, reducing the likelihood of the neurochemical crashes that lead to evening binges. While moderate dairy is considered safe, fruit juice must be avoided. Without the original fiber of the whole fruit, juice delivers a massive, unbuffered load of simple sugar directly into the system. Nutritional strategies like the DASH and Mediterranean diets provide a metabolic defense, stabilizing blood sugar and preventing the spikes that fuel the hijack. Lasting recovery requires a specific shift in the physical mechanics of how we consume our food. Clinical reports emphasize mindful eating, the practice of deliberately slowing down the speed of consumption. This behavior accommodates the brain's biology. Eating slowly gives the naturally delayed acetylcholine signal enough time to register, triggering the feeling of fullness before a binge can take hold. By improving carbohydrate quality and adopting slower habits, We do more than repair insulin resistance. We successfully dismantle the neurochemical hijack and reclaim our metabolic health.